Today's episode of the Bill Simmons Podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network, brought to you, as always, by ZipRecruiter. There's a big difference between working hard and working smart. The Warriors did neither when they drafted Steph Curry. He fell to them improbably after Minnesota took two other point guards over him. But look, sometimes you have to be lucky. Other times you have to be efficient and smart and effective. That's why you need ZipRecruiter. That's what their technology and tools do. They're powerful technology. Scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience for your job. 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. My listeners can try it for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/BS. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire other than having David Kahn pass up the best candidate twice in a row. Meanwhile, SeatGeek is the best app for buying and selling tickets to sporting events, concerts, and more. For $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase on any game or sporting event, which includes college football, NFL, NBA is coming up, MLS, NHL, music, whatever you want. You know what to do. Use promo code BS. Download the SeatGeek app or go right to SeatGeek.com. Don't forget to check out theringer.com. We have some pieces up there right now. The last rock and roll superstars were Korn. That's what Stephen Hyden wrote. Michael Bauman wrote about the tragedy of Maryland football. Jonathan Tjarks wrote about the 2018/19 Pelicans. Are we sure they're going to be worse? Molly McHugh wrote about Donut Gate and Pizzagate. Mal Surrey wrote about Jalen Ramsey's quarterback spice. Check it all out. Check out the Ringer Podcast Network as well. Damage Control, that's new. One Shining Podcast, that's new. On Shuffle, that's new. Ringer NFL Show. Hopping all week. We got JJ Redick, Larry Wilmore, a whole bunch of other people. Cousin Sal is a new one with The Miz, the wrestler, and former WWE writer Brian Gerwitz, just basically annihilating each other about fantasy football. It was a crazy podcast. Check that out. And that's it. Don't forget to check out theringer.com/shop as well. Coming up, episode 401. If you missed our 400 episode video that we did for the BS podcast, we put it on Twitter. It's on my Twitter feed. It's on my Instagram feed. And we tried to cram as many guests as we possibly could into a 2-minute, like 40-second clip. So that was cool. Anyway, we are in Oakland as we speak. We came. I don't like to travel for podcasts very much, but certain people, you just have to go to where they are. Stephen Curry is one of those people. He's coming up in 1 second. But first, our friends from Pearl Jam. All right, we're in Oakland. Steph Curry is here. We have not done a podcast together. We did one in 2013. You and David Lee came into the Grantland Studios.
Yes, we
did. That was your breakthrough season.
I didn't know at the time, but yeah.
Yeah. And then the next year we did an all-star one that either one of us can remember. It was like 12 minutes.
Delirious at All-Star Weekend. That's when they have you come in fresh off a Wednesday night game.
Yeah.
An overnight flight, and they throw you right to the media the next morning. They switched it up, so we've gotten smarter since then.
And then you guys would go on autopilot because you'd be afraid to say anything because you're half asleep. It was great.
No hot takes.
Good content. And then we haven't done a podcast since. And since then, you won 2 MVPs and 3 titles and almost won a 4th title. Came within like 2 plays.
That's crazy.
So yeah, a lot's happened.
A lot has happened.
When did you realize this might happen? What was there a game or a stretch where you're like, holy shit, we might actually roll off some titles here?
From a team perspective, it was I guess that somewhere in that 2013 season, we were like that young, naive team where we felt like we could win every game we showed up to, whether we had the experience or not. A lot of that, my guy Jared Jack, who was on that squad, he gave us that like veteran presence and confidence to kind of push us along. And then we were just kind of rebels out there on the court. So when we got to the playoffs that year against Denver, against Andre and Andre Miller, who else was on that team?
Yeah, it was
Danilo,
Ty Lawson.
Ty Lawson. We were in the same draft class. Like we came in like we're going to win this series, and there's nothing that anybody's going to say about it. And it happened, but we really didn't know nobody had any playoff experience, so we didn't know what to expect. And it was just, I think that played into our advantage. And then we go in that next series, we play San Antonio. Still the same kind of, overconfidence, but that was when we really had to figure out how to win a basketball game when it mattered. And our youth and talent, our speed got to them a little bit in the first 2 games, but over the course of that series, it's a real eye opener. Understand
it's like going to grad school.
Yeah. A quick, 2-week grad school. And from there, it was kind of just understanding what we needed to do from a team perspective, put the right pieces in place to give ourselves a chance to actually be serious about winning a championship, and we kind of excel from there.
I told you that I went on TV in 2013 and predicted you were going to beat the Spurs.
I wish we could have made you right.
That was like going to grad school for me too, because I took so much shit for that. Hey man, how the Warriors doing?
You got
how they looking in round 3?
Notification popped up. Bill Simmons predicts. Huge.
I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be that over the top picking an underdog anymore on national TV.
You could have been on top of the world, because we were literally, possession in game 1 from being up, 2-0 on the road, coming home. But yeah, Popovich and Duncan and Parker and Ginobili had something to say about it.
The infrastructure, that's very tough. Patriots-esque. Yeah, I remember that. I definitely remember thinking you guys had stumbled onto something with you and Klay. This is, wow, what's the ceiling on this? I have no idea. Could these guys make 10 combined threes a game? I don't know. And then actually you guys started making 9 combined threes a game.
It's interesting the way that we do it, right? Because we balanced each other off so well. So obviously I can shoot off the dribble and like to create and that kind of stuff. But Klay is such a master moving without the ball, and the unsung hero pretty much every night when it comes to, he's so low maintenance. He doesn't really need the ball. He scored 60 plus on 11 dribbles or whatever it was. Like, he's so efficient. It allows me to kind of have space to do what I need to do around the top of the key and create and play off of him. And either one of us taking a shot, you obviously like those chances for sure.
Yeah, historically, because there's so many other angles with the Warriors that you guys haven't, I feel like, gotten your proper due as a backcourt. It's because there's so many other ways to go.
Yeah.
But in terms of the all-time backcourts, it's way up there. That'd actually be an interesting podcast for me. I should go through
break that down. I'll be listening.
Just like
see where you put us.
Well, how many years now? He was 2011.
This is going on.
This will be year 8.
Yeah, we finished 7 together.
I think what's cool about it, and this happens not very often when two guards, like, they complement each other. It's not just that you guys are good and you've had success and individual success, team success, but actually, like, the combo of it is nice. 100%. And that doesn't really happen with basketball, where you just have two guys who are like, these two actually make themselves better as a combo with the spacing they do and how they play off each other.
100%. And it works on both ends too. We know how great of a two-way player Klay is, and it's no secret when sometimes he guards the other team's point guard. Yeah, and I'll guard off the ball, and sometimes I'll give him a breather and switch back. So both offensively and defensively, we are very complementary.
He doesn't get credit for guarding guys that are much smaller than him, because I think that's one of the reasons you guys have 3 titles.
100%.
There's a lot of small guys in the league.
There's a lot of small guys in the league, a lot of fast guys, a lot of guys that have the ball in their hands a lot during the possession. And he likes those challenges. So, there's no secret in our locker room how vital he is to what we do. And
well, also, he's the one you guys make fun of the most, right? He's a comedy lightning rod.
He is. I don't even know if he realizes how funny he is. And like in person, I think
he does realize it now.
He's got old man quirks though. He'll come in the locker room, he'll sit on the chair with his, fold his leg over, and he'll read a newspaper like 2 hours before the game. And that's like, I think he did a marketing piece for like the Bay Area Times or San Jose Mercury News or whatever it was. And literally, you might think that was just fake. Like, that's real. Like, he actually comes in. There's a newspaper sitting on his chair. He reads it. I don't know what type of knowledge he's bringing in.
So he's like a 72-year-old retired CEO.
He's a savant. He knows everything, and he'll be very timely with that when he drops that knowledge on you.
It is funny because with teams, they'll always be like, oh, that guy, he's everybody's favorite teammate, or that there'll always be multiple choices. Mm-hmm. And with Klay, it just seems like he's everybody's favorite teammate. Like 100%.
Universally. Even DeMarcus said it in his press conference. He's like, he doesn't even play with Klay besides the Olympics 2 years ago. But he's like, that's my favorite guy already.
Yeah.
And he hasn't spent a day in the Warriors locker room with us. But yeah, he has that presence that you need. He's a unique. For sure.
You mean when you guys cheated and you got DeMarcus, even though he's coming off a major injury? No, I'm kidding. I'm actually on your side on this one. Everyone got so mad with the DeMarcus thing, and he's like, the guy tore his Achilles last year. If he comes back in February, it'll be like a bonus for you guys.
I think all the way through just the benefit of being on our team. Obviously, for him, there's no rush for him to come back. He can really take his time and get right, but. When I look at just the opportunity, it comes, past in January, February, whenever he comes back to the playoffs, it gives us a whole new dynamic. And, whatever type of DeMarcus shows up, I know he expects to be back to fully 100%, and we do too, but whatever DeMarcus shows up, it gives us a new dimension that we haven't had before, a guy that can actually go get a bucket on the block. We can have guys, shooters around him.
Get some ball boards.
He's an amazing playmaker, and you've seen it in New Orleans, but when he gets the ball at the top of the key, he can break the bigs down, and he's a great passer. So Coach Kerr loves great passing big men that can read the defense and make plays. So it's gonna be amazing, man. I'm excited about it.
It's
obviously.
It reminds me that now we can officially start thinking about what your whole run versus the Bulls in the '90s, because you have 3, they had 6, but there was one year where they added Bison Dele in '97. In like February, and they only had him for a couple months, but he gave them this whole new look that they didn't have any of those other 6 years. And that's what I thought you guys were missing last year. It was just kind of the same nucleus, and there wasn't, you go back to the '60s with like the Arbeck Celtics, they would always add the one guy every year,
right?
Who was like, oh, the new guy, this guy really wants it. You guys had that with David West.
And keep everybody on the edge because you got to figure it out, right? And I think that's the benefit of this year.
Yeah, you want the one guy who's just dying to be on a good team, and he can't believe his good fortune, and you can kind of feed off that.
Yeah, 100%. And there's going to be a feeling out process, obviously, because lineups will change a little bit, rotations may change a little bit, but I think just over the course of 82 games, and then we look at the playoffs, it gives us really something to look forward to, and something to really focus on how we're going to implement his skill set to what we do. Obviously, keeping our style of play, playing fast, using the guys that have been around these last 3-4 years, and figuring that out. But it gives us something to look forward to, which I'm sitting here in August thinking about how we get back to June. There's a lot of time in between. We got to be ready.
I was watching the game when he got hurt, actually. I'd been watching the Pelicans those last couple weeks. I just enjoyed the way him and Davis were playing together. Yeah. And he was playing the best he'd ever played, and was just doing all the stuff we kind of wanted from him.
Run, right? They were chasing the A spot, right?
Yeah. But it was one of those things where I didn't think they were going to beat you, but I was at least ready to have the conversation of this will be a really interesting playoff series
100%.
With these two big dudes, and I don't know what the Warriors would have to do if they're both out there. We got to go back to 2014 because I was at that game, Clippers Game 7.
Yeah.
I thought that was the most important game of this whole run for you guys. Like you talked about the Spurs where you could like going to grad school for a year, but that was like you got your doctorate in the Game 7. Yeah. Chris Paul fouled you maybe 45 times in that game. It was a street fight. Chris Paul is great at knowing when the refs are going to back off a little. And he's just like, all right, I'll just foul everybody all the time now. And you took it and you had a really good game. And that was the game where I was like, I didn't think you were going to win 2 MVPs and 3 titles in the next 4 years. But I was like, Steph's, that was good. That was a good game for him.
I remember. I think
he's a good career ahead.
Game 7 on the road. Yeah, that was again our core. We had an opportunity to take that next step. We hadn't played in Game 7 before, and so to show up on the road against a team that we had so much history with, going back and forth. That was an interesting series all the way around with the whole Donald Sterling thing, and it was a very emotional series back and forth. But to get to a Game 7 and have to just lay it out on the line, we obviously lost. But for me personally, it was definitely a breakthrough type moment to know, when the lights are bright. I had a pretty solid game. I know I could have played better, and I learned some things about how to deal with the physicality of playoffs, how to deal with Game 7 officiating, how to deal with all that type of stuff. And for our core, we just figured out how to win through losing. We figured out how to win, and then that next season we come back and we win our first ship. So
yeah, I was saying this to you before we started about how I do feel like with the great NBA teams, it is like a video game a little bit, and you got to hit these certain different levels.
Yeah,
even in 2015 when you guys won the title, you were tight those first couple games in the finals.
Oh, for sure.
I think definitely didn't look like you.
Before that, even getting through to the finals, there were the two series. One series against Memphis, we were down 2-1
on the road.
Oh,
Yeah.
Game 4 on the road, down 2-1, and obviously that's a must-win situation. And we passed those tests all the way through, just to have a chance to play in the finals. And that's a whole different environment. I know you did your piece on like courtside at the finals or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not there and like go through the practices, the media sessions, the whole kind of prelude to just actually playing the game, it catches you off guard for sure. And so we were playing against LeBron, who had been there at that point, 5 straight times, and I think it was the 6 finals. And so he obviously has experience, and that exude confidence on his side. But for us, it was a bunch of guys who had never been there before, and so we had to figure it out.
You go out there and there's hundreds of people around the court.
Watching 30 minutes of practice as you do shooting drills and stuff, and you're like, they're really just cameras rolling 24/7, and the world is watching you. We know the league and the NBA is so popular and it has been for years, but when you get to the finals, it's just a whole other animal that you got to go through it a little bit. And it took us really 3 games to figure it out.
I remember that Memphis series. All these teams have that one moment. Like even I remember when the 08 Celtics, when they traded for KG and Ray Allen, and it was the super team. But then when we got to the playoffs, it was like Atlanta 7 games, Cleveland 7 games. And it's when you haven't been there and you don't totally trust each other yet, it does. Everybody's kind of looking around. It's tense and people aren't themselves all of a sudden. You got to get through it. What you said about LeBron, though, with all those finals, it reminded me of Brady was talking about the last Super Bowl against the Falcons when they came back. And he was like, he'd been in so many Super Bowls that he learned to almost his preparation for the game was totally different than any other game. Because
the routine is totally different. Yeah.
You're there 4 hours before everybody's in the field. The halftime's 45 minutes instead of 20. And he kind of taught himself how not to peak in the first half and to stay calm versus like being so fired up in the first half, then you crash.
I think a lot of that too is from a coaching standpoint as well. For Coach Kerr, who had been with the Bulls and with the Spurs in the finals and learned from Phil Jackson and Popovich how to kind of pace ourselves through that preparation. Because I think we had about 5-6 days to prepare for Game 1. And it's really relying on him to, set the schedule to figure out how we're going to get to our peak performance come Game 1.
Right.
For us, our hearts are racing from the time we, walked off the court, in the Western Conference Finals. But that whole kind of just experience helped us kind of get over the hump when we didn't play as well as we wanted to in those first 3 games. And then it just carried over every year since, in terms of just being comfortable in that environment.
Well, the best you guys ever played was that win streak.
Yeah,
that was really something. Because now you had the confidence from the last title. You had everybody shitting on you.
We won 24 games in a row. At the start of the season,
and you start the season, you're not the favorites. It's like, they had theirs. Now LeBron and Kyrie, and then you guys are like, oh, really?
Yeah.
But I thought to win that many games in a row, the Celtics I think won 16 last year. And you need luck just to win 16. You need to have those 2 or 3 games that you shouldn't have won that you pulled out of your ass. 24 was incredible.
I haven't looked back game by game. I would say we had probably 4 of those.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have won. Out of 24, that's pretty solid. I think we really deserved to win, the other 20.
I remember there was one in Boston.
Yeah, that was 20. That was game 24.
The Celtics should have stolen that one.
Double overtime. And then we went next night back to back to Milwaukee, and that's where we lost our first game, which is we still had a chance to win. Which, by the way, I know you're an amazing T-shirt designer when it comes to great sayings and all that type of stuff. The 24-1 Milwaukee Buck fan shirts. I need to get one of those in my arsenal.
Do those exist?
Yeah, they do. They had the whole I guess their spirit section or whatever you want to call it. They had the 24-1.
That's the highlight of the decade, beating you guys right after a double overtime game.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I remember that Boston game. Draymond during that streak would just have a couple games where he just went full Draymond.
Oh yeah.
And in that game, he was so. It's hard to explain. There's really never been a guy like him who can control a game but not score like 40 points.
It's unbelievable.
He's so intense, and he actually like puts his stamp on it, which I think during the regular season it's been harder and harder for him to do because you're saving stuff now for the playoffs every year. Very rarely do you have those games during the season.
It's a real balance of understanding what we're trying to do to build towards a playoff run and understand the fundamentals of how we're going to win a championship and what we need to focus on, which is really hard to get up for every single, like those Wednesday night back-to-back on the road against whoever. If it's an Eastern Conference team, we're on the, a 7-10 day road trip. Those games are tough. And that's what the NBA is. Obviously it's 82. Everybody got to play the same schedule, but for us having gone through these championship runs, it's going to be our 5th year in a row in terms of really having a realistic shot of winning.
Yeah.
You gotta pace yourself a little bit. I hate saying that in terms of like, we really appreciate every game that we go out there, but it's tough, man.
That first year though, when you had the streak and you guys were kind of becoming a phenomenon in the league, and when you would go to Milwaukee, you go to Charlotte, you go to Atlanta, it was the biggest game of the season for the fans of that team. And it did seem like you guys fed off that. But I think after 4 years that you probably don't notice it anymore, right?
Only time I notice is when we got to buy tickets and they look at the ticket prices. I'm like, hold on, we got to pay what for my family to come to the game? Like, that's crazy. We talk about like probably my first 4 years, I used to go back to Charlotte. I get my one chance to go home and play in front of my home city every year. And it was so easy to get tickets, first 4 years, they were a French playoff team and we were irrelevant in terms of being at the top of the league. And probably right after the championship run, my dad called me about a month and a half before we played Charlotte. And he's like, hey, I need to get your ticket list for Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, that's like, I thought we were playing them for another like 5 weeks. He's like, yeah, but they're selling out the whole arena. The guy's offering you a suite if you want to take it. I know you usually have like, 40, 50 family members come. We got to get that list now so we get prepared. I'm like, what are you
Really?
That's when it first sunk in. Like, this is a real deal that, the Warriors have a little traveling fan base, and for the opposing teams, they want to come watch us play.
Good luck at the All-Star game this year.
I know. That's what I was thinking about that too.
That's one where you have to call Adam Silver directly. Be like, hey man, what do a deal?
Stadium.
Yeah, I'll go to China if you give me 200 tickets. Let's take a quick break to talk about Hotel Tonight. If you love to score amazing deals and incredible hotels, you will love Hotel Tonight. They partner with hotels to help them sell their unsold rooms, helping you find sweet deals at cool, top-rated hotels. Hotel Tonight shows you the best deals at hotels you actually want to stay at. No more scrolling through endless lists of choices, even though their name's Hotel Tonight. It's not just for last-minute bookings. Book in advance, perfect for planners and procrastinators alike. Hotel Tonight works for spontaneous weekend getaways, staycations, 3-day weekends, business bookings, whatever you need. Book hotels in 10 seconds, 3 taps, and a swipe. It is that easy. There's even the HT Perks program. The more you book, the better the deals get. You've heard me talk about it. I've used Hotel Tonight many times. So has my staff. It is used a lot by the Ringer staff. It's that easy to get the Hotel Tonight app to start scoring amazing deals at incredible hotels. Hotel Tonight, the only booking app you need. And since we're here, let's talk about my good friends at Gillette. My son asked me the other day, when can I start shaving? And I said, you can't. You have no hair in your body. But eventually you're going to shave. And then he's like, well, what do I do when I shave? And I said, you get Gillette. That's what your dad did. Since day one, I can't remember. I can't remember what the first Gillette razor was. It was somewhere in the 80s. I had a couple sprouts on my lip. And I forced a couple shaves in, just feeling good about myself. And since then, now I have some facial hair. I still shave the neck every once in a while. When I do, I use the Gillette. Eventually, I'm gonna get rid of the facial hair, I think, this fall. And then I'll be back to using Gillette all the time. They offer a variety of shaving products for every guy, regardless of personal style, skin needs, or budget, whether you want 3 blades or 5. The Gillette 3 and Gillette 5 razors have you covered, all under $10. High performance at a low price. I especially love Gillette because they make all of their razors in South Boston. Oh, yeah. home of the greatest baseball team of all time, the 2018 Red Sox. Not in South Boston, but like 15 minutes away. Anyway, get Gillette Performance delivered to your door. Find Gillette 5 and other great razors at GilletteOnDemand.com. So easy. You don't need to leave your house to get Gillette. Just get it at GilletteOnDemand.com. Subscribe today. Let's get back to the 2-time MVP, Steph Curry. When did you notice the fans coming to watch you warm up? Was that the streak season, or was that the year before?
The year before, like halfway through the 2015 year.
The first championship
year. It was my first MVP year. I don't know how it became anything, but me doing my pregame routine where I do the 2-ball handling drill, and I do my shooting routine. It became
something because you were making 40-footers over and over again. People seem to be intrigued by that.
But I remember getting a call from our PR guy, and they said, hey, when we go, I can't remember what city it was. He's like, hey, when we're going to the city, they asked us if it was all right if they opened their doors for fans to come in 30 minutes early so that they can watch you warm up.
Yeah.
And so that question, I was like, well, I guess that's fine. But I never knew like people would actually come that early to watch, a warm up situation, even though if they wouldn't get an autograph, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen either. So, we got to the city and literally probably 3 of the sections were full. Some mostly Warrior fans, but some of the opposing team's fans, coming in and watching me do, pound the ball for 5 minutes and get like 100, 125 shots and then go back in the locker room and get ready to play. Do
you notice them when you're warming up, or are you zoned out?
No, I notice them. It's almost a mental challenge and not to control my energy in terms. I don't want to burn myself out in warm-ups, but if you make a shot and you hear like a rattle of applause like during a warm-up, it kind of gets you going. You start to feel good. Yeah. And you realize you start to like pick up your pace a little bit and you're rushing, and it takes my whole rhythm off in terms I got to really focus on just staying in the moment and keeping the routine what it is and making sure my process for preparing for games isn't jeopardized by how many people are watching early. Because it's a different environment because it's a little bit quieter, but there's so much presence of fans. It's crazy.
I mean, you notice if one person is staring at you, right? Oh, yeah, you'd be like, is somebody staring at me? You turn like somebody's staring at you. And there's only been a few players like this where when they come out in the court, everybody's just kind of staring at them.
It's weird.
I remember Jordan.
It's still weird. I promise.
Yeah, it's got to be weird. I remember when Jordan would come to Boston in the 90s and we'd all be so excited, and he would come out and we would all just like in a trance, like, oh my God, there he is. There's only been a few guys like that.
You're a little self-conscious too. Like, did I pick my nose or something?
Yeah, seriously.
Did I do something weird while I was out there for like an hour? Going through my memory to make sure I didn't mess up.
I remember we were doing courtside for the finals, and we decided to film your warm up at game 2. And I talked to, God, I'm blanking because I'm old. The guy, your dude who throws you the passes.
Oh, Bruce Frazier.
Yeah, Bruce.
We call him Q.
Yeah. Talked to Bruce about it. And we were just going all in on your pregame, and you made the shot in the tunnel.
Oh yeah.
And we got that, which was a really cool thing. But every time you take the shot in the tunnel, what is that, like 50 feet?
At least, but it's a weird angle because you're behind the baseline.
You got to shoot almost from your chest.
Yeah.
And you made that, and they were like, we got the shot. He made it in the tunnel. And I was like, oh, Steph's going to have a good game today.
But that's so
then you did. You hit like 11 threes.
They worked out that night. But the first time I scored 50 at Oracle, I had the worst shooting work. Q will tell you this. I had the worst shooting workout of all time. Like if I shoot 100 shots, or make 100 shots in my warm up, it probably took me like 300, 350 to get through it. And he was looking at me like, yo, what's going on? He's trying to coach me through like, get your legs in, your elbows flying out or whatever. And then I kind of forgot about it, got out to the game and had my first 50-point game at home. And we just laughed about it. Like, there's no real, marker of how my shooting workout goes, if that means it's going to be a good game, or whether I make the tunnel shot, that means it's going to be a good game or not. So,
what's the hottest you've been during a game? What stands out the most? What's your all-time heat check?
New York.
MSG. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
That was for sure.
That was also relatively early in your kind of superstar carer. Because I remember on Twitter that was a moment. Yeah.
That was
kind of your arrival game.
Our first playoff run. But yeah, I didn't make an all-star team that year, but I kind of played a lot more consistently. I think I don't know why I was averaging nothing, but just the way that I was playing was kind of turning heads. And you get to MSG, and when you play on that court and you do something special, it takes a life of its own. And
that was an ESPN game too, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
Doris Burke was on the call.
Yeah.
Shouting me out. Mark Jones. So it was pretty cool night. And the worst part about it was we lost. Melo hit a dagger 3 with like 18 seconds left, and I couldn't get a shot off down the stretch.
I think it was the third greatest Knicks moment of the decade, that game. The past 8 years.
The upset against Golden State.
Was that Linsanity?
Unproven Golden State. That was pre-Land, or was that post-Linsanity?
Maybe post. Do you monitor what all these other teams are doing during the summer, or do you not care?
Oh yeah, I notice. I mean, I'm checking my phone, seeing, especially when free agency happens, to see what's going down. But it doesn't.
Like, do you have Woj as a Twitter notification where he has a bomb, it goes right to your phone?
No, only thing I appreciate about Woj was the draft night shenanigans where he had to try to predict the picks before, but he couldn't necessarily.
Oh, he had to he dance around it.
The blanks are really keen on selecting. Like, he had to figure out all these different adjectives. It's pretty clever. But no, I stay in tune with what's going on. You got to know the lay of the land, and kind of just get mentally prepared for what challenges teams might face or present coming into the next season.
Who's on your radar? You want to call anyone out? Let's start some feuds.
I mean,
Portland, CJ McCollum keeps throwing daggers.
A hot topic right now. CJ and KD had their thing, whatever. I take that as pure entertainment. It's NBA Twitter is unreal. Like it's a thing. It's a legit thing. Good. It's really. It
actually is amazing. It's not more frequent where guys just are going at each other. It's so easy to just type a tweet and send it. You know.
Well, I would argue it's been very, very consistent. Just in like throughout the course of the season, you got I could probably name you got Embiid stuff, you got Enes Kanter, you got all sorts of people just throwing shade back and forth.
Embiid's 10 out of 10.
The NBA pettiness is at an all-time high.
It really is.
I am here for it.
It really is. Embiid turned out to be a great villain for the Celtics.
That's what they needed. It's what they needed.
He stormed off the court after we knocked him out. He was like the crowd was chanting Embiid sucks, and he was waving his arms. He was good. He was like a WWE character.
He's worth the price of admission for sure, all the way around.
That's one guy you need Boogie for.
For Embiid?
Yeah.
Draymond held it down last year.
Did he really?
Draymond held
7'3" Embiid?
Don't get it twisted. Draymond ain't gonna back down from anybody, but he held it down.
What's your favorite Draymond story? What's the one story that captures what it's like to be on the same team as Draymond Green? Other than the game where he almost got thrown out for trash talking the Clippers when he wasn't even in uniform.
I remember that game. Probably the times him and Coach Kerr get into it, and you're inside practice and you don't know whose side to take. You're like, I guess they're both right, but they're both wrong.
What do they argue about? Like, give me an example. Just where he should go on a play
call, or maybe something Coach Kerr has been thinking about for a couple of games about a tendency that we've been, shading to. And he's like, don't overcoach, like this and that. That's all, we know what you're doing. And Coach is like, well, I know you know what you're doing, but let me just, help you along as I'm supposed to do. And that's what my job is to do, to point out things that could be important for us to win a championship.
Right.
But they have a real, like, the respect level between them two is at an all-time high, but they have their moments, and it's just amazing entertainment to watch in practice. About Coach's first year, we were doing some 5-on-5 drill, and Draymond Love, it was early in the season, Draymond Love was talking trash to the whole team. Doesn't matter if it's me, if it's for Sean Livingston was posting me up on the block, and I had no chance to try to contest a shot, and he did a little turnaround, Sean Livingston vintage turnaround over
old
top
band
of me.
game.
Yeah, and Draymond's doing he's too small, Dot. He's too small, Dot. Baby food, like yelling all that stuff during the middle of practice. I mean, he's on my team.
Yeah,
like bro, come on. But like that little stuff happens. But then when him and Coach Kerr get into it, like the whole practice stops because there are two important voices when it comes to how how practice is flowing. And so we let them kind of deal with their issue, and we keep it moving. And then at the end of practice, it's just like nothing happened. And that's
it sounds like my relationship with my 13-year-old daughter. We get into it, and there's still love after.
100%.
Just wait. You just wait till your daughter's at 13.
I'm closing in on that.
Let me tell you something.
That teenager life for sure.
All the rumors are not exaggerated of what it's like. You can't even believe it. How old's your oldest daughter now?
She just started first grade and she's 6.
So 6 and 10 were my favorite ages.
Okay.
6 is great. And they love their dads at 6. They still love their dads at 10.
I agree with that. And
yeah,
there's
just
new
wait
experiences because she's kind of branching off now into her real, true independent life when it comes to school and her friends and all that type of stuff.
Just wait till the mayor starts getting involved.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. Oh, it happens fast too. Like, what happened? You were so cute a week ago. Now you're yelling at me and you're in front of Mary. Yeah. So when your daughter became, what year was that when she was in the podium?
That was 2015. That was the first championship run. So after we played Houston in the Western Conference Finals, I think it was game 1 or 2 at home. I brought her with me to the podium, and then
it turned into a thing.
It turned into a thing. Like her cuteness was overloaded. It was ridiculous.
And then there's a backlash. People are like, "Oh, I don't know if Steph Curry should have his daughter in the podium."
That's right. There was a whole conversation like, "I wouldn't bring my daughter to work," and the media was talking about they couldn't hit their deadlines because I was answering questions slow because my daughter was interrupting, and like, I'm like, what are you? This is a real thing. Like,
I love that
your story's already written anyway. Like, why are you just send it in?
Deadlines. It's the internet. There are no deadlines anymore.
Seriously. It was eye-opening to see what people truly cared about in the midst of a playoff run. Like, this is my daughter. I'm enjoying the moment with her. I could run through countless NBA. My dad used to do it with me. Allen Iverson had his kids. Steve Nash had his kids. Like, everybody brings their kids. A huge part of like being an NBA player, being able to share that with your family. And just it happens that they wanted to throw some shade. It's all good. I brought her right back. Good. Probably 4 games later.
Keep bringing her back.
Yeah.
You got 6 years left before she won't talk to you anymore.
She might have her own mic now. I'm doing that out of my own interest. Not to bring her back now.
Did you think it was an advantage to have an NBA player as a dad?
For when I got to the league, I think it was.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, just to have a kind of understanding of how things worked. Seeing how my dad really went through his routine, how he kind of kept distractions away. Being around in the NBA locker room, seeing how he treated the people and behind the scenes, just the equipment managers, everybody that works at the arena. He was like an uber professional when it came to that. So I got that firsthand experience, and haven't strayed too far from it, I hope. But definitely helped me just be more comfortable once I got to the league. I don't know how much of a advantage it was per se when it came to like high school recruiting, all that type of stuff in terms of.
Might have been a disadvantage.
It was a little bit in high school just because the spotlight was on me and I had to really perform because people knew who my dad was. But I didn't get I guess I didn't get any scholarship offers from Heidi when they didn't think I was ready. But when I went to Davidson, I don't think it was because my dad was Del Curry and that was going to be the only advantage to what I brought to the table.
Well, World Wide West. He told me this. When the Donovan Mitchell draft, he was like, everyone's sleeping on Donovan Mitchell. He's not only would be better in the pros, but son of an athlete. And he's like, son of an athletes to have an advantage when they go into because they're adults. They come into the sport. They're adults already and they've seen it and they know what I'd never thought about it before.
But it
makes sense. It's an interesting theory.
Just felt comfortable, like just showing up to the arena on a game day and knowing like, all right, there's going to be, cameras over here. There's going to be, people around the locker room. There's going to be distractions all over the place. And I just got to see it. So definitely gave me a little bit of peace, especially my rookie year and early in my career.
When you go to Minnesota, do you have a little something extra for them? Or do you not have any bitterness anymore?
My guy, David Kahn, I don't know where he's at right now, but I don't know if that ever came out. There's a story around, everybody knows how much I love golf.
Yeah.
And played in my spare time and whatnot. I think the word on the street was that he didn't draft me because in Minnesota it's cold and I wouldn't be able to play as much golf, so I would have been miserable.
Is that true?
I hope it's true because that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
It was idiotic in the moment. I did a draft diary. I was going nuts. Because if you're going to take 2 point guards, how are you not one of the two?
I don't know.
And then if you're going to take, if you're going to go all in on Rubio and you don't even know if he's coming over, you and Rubio actually would have been an interesting backcourt. I would have been okay with that.
That was it, because he didn't come for 2 years, right? So I guess my third year, it was his official
Which is
rookie
so weird.
year.
And then I was mad just as a Celtics fan because I was like, he's going to follow the Knicks? Are you kidding me? And then the Warriors took, and then the Knicks fans have never recovered, really.
No, that was a fun
That is the
night.
all-time what if for the Knicks. The thing is, though, if you go to Minnesota, now I'm not speaking about the franchise right now, but the franchise 09 through 14 wasn't really a top-notch franchise, and you had issues with your ankles and all this stuff. And the team that you went to, I really feel like that was probably a good place for you because, you know, if you'd gone to the wrong team that had diagnosed some of the stuff that was going on with you incorrectly, you might have been out of the league in like 6 years.
It was an interesting time. Is when I was drafted in 09, we were kind of in a transition. We had an old ownership of Chris Cohan, who owned the team before, and he was trying to sell it all throughout my rookie year. So when Joe Lake and Peter Guber stepped up towards the end of my right after my rookie year in that summer, it didn't become official till later. Didn't really know where the direction of the franchise was going in the front office or on the court. And so it allowed me just to play basketball and just worry about, getting better and figuring out how I can really make it in the league. Yeah. Obviously I couldn't predict what was going to happen with my ankles and the 3 years of, being injured and 2 surgeries and all that type of stuff, but definitely was in a place that, I could I would say it was a little bit more patience in terms of, dealing with it, getting through it, figuring out how I can get my body right so that, when the chips all stacked right, I was able to play. And
who was the most important person for figuring out? Because you basically had to restructure how you ran, all the shoes you wear, all this stuff. That if this happened in 1970, you would have been screwed.
For 100%. There's countless people that have been a part of that process since the injury started. I met with a trainer, Brandon Payne, who I've been working with since my first surgery, who's a guy out of Charlotte. Who trains the body and my skill work. We've been working together. It's been an amazing kind of journey in that regard.
Weren't you doing something wrong with the way you ran? Like you're putting too much stress on the outside or something?
Yeah, so I didn't realize the chain of effects that go from basically your core to your glutes to your hamstrings and all the way down to your ankles. Basically anything that I did, I was relying on my foot to stabilize itself as opposed to using every other big muscle that is important in that stability aspect. So once I got the knowledge and had the retraining, literally how my body moves, because I was very limber and kind of just flaily, I guess you call it, like the used car salesman dude out front, the blow up thing. Like that's literally how I ran and moved. I had to be able to figure out how to get stable from the core and then work my way down.
So that's done now. You've figured that out.
It's done. I say it's done in terms of the education around exactly how I need to do it, but there's retraining that happens literally every summer, every time I step foot in the gym, to make sure that my body can call on that in the most pressure situations and when I get tired throughout the course of a season or in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, it's a great what if. There's so many guys from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that, you tear your ACL, you're done.
Yeah.
You have a foot injury, they misdiagnose it. That's worse. You're out of the league in 3 years. And this generation that you're in, I think the science of stuff, the way it's able to save people's careers, prolong careers. I don't know how long you're going to play. Have you thought about it? Conceivably, you could play until you're like 45. If you
I hope so.
To.
I mean, I always, when I came in the league, I was like, I just want to play 16 years just because my dad played 16 years. And
by the way, that was no joke. Your dad played 16 years. That was a lot of years back then.
It's a lot of years. I remember his last 3 in Toronto, maybe one more, 4 when he played in Milwaukee during the lockout year. He was 34 to 38 in that period. And he'd do dealing with like back spasms and sore tendonitis in his knees and like literally what he had to do to get his body ready just to play a game. I was just in awe of it.
Right.
I hope that when I get to that age, I can it'll be a little less maintenance in terms of being able to play. But like that's when you see like guys like Vince and Jason Terry, guys that are playing in their 40s right now, what he's doing. There's a true appreciation for the science of things that gets guys, a little bit longer longevity in their careers. So.
It's funny you didn't mention LeBron in that, but LeBron is, I think this is year 16. Like he's
It's
officially
tricky,
a
right?
senior citizen, right?
Well,
But he's not.
It's tricky because he came when he was 18.
Yeah.
Right? So that 16 years is 16 years in the NBA, and that wear and tear is no joke.
When I was a kid, Havlicek played 16 years, and everybody was like, whoa, 16 years. Oh my God. It seemed like so long.
Yeah.
And now Dirk's at like 21. I saw Dwayne Wade said he might play one more year. And I'm like, why are you leaving?
Yeah.
You're 36.
You still got
with the
a little bit left in the
technology now,
tank.
you could play 5 more years.
100%.
Yeah, your situation's interesting because conceivably you could just be a stretch the floor guy until you're 50. I don't see your 3-point shot going away.
I don't see it either.
So as long as you want to do it, you could do it.
But you see like Jason Kidd when he was playing.
Yeah.
He's the way he pivoted at each stage of his career when his body needed to.
Yeah.
He figured out a different skill set to call on. Like, so obviously he's the most athletic point guard that could, dish and drive and finish and do all that stuff. And as his career evolved, he became a 3-point shooter. And you think he's like top 5 in all-time 3-point. I wouldn't even have guessed that.
And he was a terrible shooter for like 10 years.
But he figured it out.
Yeah.
And his when I played against him my first 2 or 3 years before he moved on to coaching, he was an entirely different player, but he was very impactful in terms of just orchestrating the offense, staying at the top of the key, finding the guy that was open and knocking down an open 3. And he did that and got 3 extra years out of his career. So, and a championship. So it's, you never know what it'll take to keep your career going, but I think I can figure it out.
I remember I talked to Nash about it. I can't remember if it was Nash and Dirk together, but they were saying the fun part's playing, the not fun part and the part that starts to just suck as you get older is the summers.
Yeah.
And the off season and all the work that it takes to actually get ready to play in the games. And that after like years 16, 17, 18, you just don't want to do it anymore.
I'm not quite there.
No, you're only you're 10.
You're thinking about, like that. Hopefully you're making the playoffs that June to September. It's not just, waking up, going to the gym, getting your skill work in, getting a massage, stretch, go home, rest, do it all over again. There's a lot more elements to it. And there's a lot more strategy that goes into it. I can see it starting my body's responding amazing right now. So I want to hope.
What are you, 30?
I'm 30, yeah, freshly 30. So I can see
young 30.
I asked Vince that I can see just how much goes into just being ready to play. And in the summers, you got to lay that foundation because in the regular season, it's not that much time to really focus on, the body in terms of you got games every other night. So you got to be prepared.
Well, Vince never played in the playoffs, so he was able to get those times off. Sorry,
that's
Vince.
my guy. Don't throw no Vince shade. Vince,
I'm still mad at Vince. I'm still mad at him for quitting on Toronto. I'm the only one who seems to remember this now. It was a full-fledged quitting.
I watched that documentary and some stuff I forgot because my dad played on the 2000 to 2002 team with him.
Yeah.
So I was playing pickup with or playing one-on-one with Vince.
He was on who was on that team?
2000, 2002, that was
Anthony Davis?
Anthony Davis, Muggsy, my dad.
Was Oakley still on that
Alvin
team or
Williams.
was he gone?
He was there for a little bit. They had Charles Oakley for a little bit. They had
Oak. My favorite podcast of the year so far.
I listen to that.
Every story ended up him punching somebody.
Which I was around for one of those stories.
One more break to talk about FanDuel. There's lots of fantasy apps. FanDuel is an easier to use choice with more features for everyday players, more ways to win than ever before. Like FanDuel's new tool, Guru, which helps you make smarter picks so you can feel more confident going into game day. Start by picking any player. If you pick a QB, Guru will use tested DFS strategies to recommend the best wide receivers and tight ends to pair with them. Or opt for the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's the future of sports betting. Only available in New Jersey. But if you're passing through Newark, you can start making your picks as soon as you hit the ground. I've landed in Newark Airport. I'm ready to do this. Not to mention, these guys are telling me live betting is coming sooner than you think. Oh, I feel lightheaded. This season, FanDuel even has a free weekly pick'em contest as well as the biggest ever free NFL Survivor League with $250,000 up for grabs. New players like my son. I'm going to force my son to do daily fantasy this year. It's time. He's in double digits now, age-wise. It's time for him to get into gambling. Try FanDuel today and get a $20 bonus. I got to do that part again. It's time. It's time. It's time for him to start doing this stuff. It's time for him to do daily fantasy. He's in double digits now with age. New players, try FanDuel today. Get a $20 bonus when you make your first deposit. Just sign up. Use promo code BS. Check it out. FanDuel. Football season. Come on. What are you waiting for? All right, back to Steph Curry. You were in, what was the one almost fight you were in, or pseudo fight, near fight?
In Indiana?
David Lee was in it too. Yeah. Who was that against?
Roy Hibbert.
Yeah.
And my now teammate David West.
That's what that was. Yeah, David West came in.
So that was it.
That was a good hold me back fight.
That was the day before the New York game. So that got me going.
Yeah.
That was the day before. We Roy and D Lee squared up, and I'm standing at the free throw line. This is an amazing story. I gotta go through the whole detail. Roy Hibbert and D Lee square up, they chest bump, and they like separate, and they look like they're going back to square up again. And for some reason, I just lose my mind. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go grab Roy Hibbert and pull him off the scrum. So Roy feels something on him. He like just whips his left elbow back, and I go flying towards the baseline. So I'm like a little stunned, like, dang, he really just threw me off him like that. So I got get back up and go back at him. And at that point, D West comes around. Draymond and who am I missing? Oh, Jared Jack. They're all kind of just in this pile. And literally, as every step you take, you're moving closer and closer and closer to the sideline into the stands. The whole time that's going on, my guy Klay has the ball in his hand. And he's like looking on the other side. And as soon as the scrum calms down, he's over there doing some form shots on the court. Like, the video is freaking hilarious. He's just shooting form shots. The ball never left his arm the whole time while the whole, the fight was going on. So
that could have been a dangerous fight. There was a lot of
spilling.
There's a lot of testosterone on that court.
Andres Biedrins is out there, my guy. Oh man, crazy.
Game one of the finals, which is one of the best games I've ever seen in person of this year's finals. Yeah. LeBron was coming off this insane playoff run.
Last year's game one was amazing too.
Which one was that?
That was
I'm trying to remember what happened.
Literally, the intensity from
start to
right. Finish
yeah.
was nothing I'd ever felt like. Everybody played their best game. It was unbelievable. I remember that. The whole game one this year was crazy. But go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was trying. I remember. LeBron was coming off that Boston series. He was playing about as well offensively as he's ever played. Mm-hmm. And he was so used to usually the game one is a feeling out game. As you said the year before, you guys don't have to feel each other out anymore. You just go. And that game was awesome. This game, he was
amazing.
Really, really good. And then the JR thing happens, which afterwards, like, we had stuff in the locker room that we had to take out of courtside, unfortunately. But Klay saying thanks, JR, and all this stuff. But we get to OT, and LeBron was starting with that foul, like 30 seconds left in regulation, or when the charge and it got flipped. He's the maddest I've ever seen him. And then in the OT, the game slipping away, and he like blocked you and he talked shit to you. I thought you guys were going to fight, because I was sitting right under that basket. I was like, holy shit, they're going to fight for like 2 seconds.
That's when I said NBA pettiness is at an all-time high. Like, both sides, it was never going to spill over to that, but it was an interesting moment with all that had going on in game one.
You went right at him though.
I know I was hot because I was trying to finish out a possession. I think it was less than a minute left. I didn't see him coming over from the weak side, so I tried to do a little soft scoop layup, and he pinned it.
But then he stared you down.
Then he stared me down, and he said something to me. And I was like, that's what we're really on right now? Like, we're about to win, and you're really worried about me and blocking my shot and talking trash? And then the whole the whole Tristan and Draymond thing happened. I went back up to him. I was like, yo, what's up? Like, is this really what we about right now? Like, he's like, I got to do that and make sure my teammates know I'm a mentor. And that's like, it's part of the, his leadership and that type of deal. I was like, I don't want to be the sacrificial lamb for your leadership. Like, come on, man, that's messed up. But it's all the back and forth and stuff. When you play a team in the finals, literally 4 years in a row, there's a lot of back and forth going on.
I want more of it. I don't want you guys to like each other. This is my biggest problem with this decade. I like that I'm not positive you and LeBron like each other. Like, watching from afar, it doesn't seem like you like each other. I'm sure there's a mutual respect.
There's definitely mutual respect. I would say, though, like, when you see guys like working out with each other in the summers, and you see guys playing pickup and all that, when they step foot on the court during the season, it's a totally different environment. So guys can be buddies and friends and whatnot, and have whatever type of relationship they want to have, in the summer and off the court. But the rivalry and competition and egos and all that stuff that lives in an NBA game, and when you're trying to hold that trophy, that it's really there, and so that's not going anywhere.
I was giving KD shit when we saw him for the last podcast about how he did that Uber commercial with LeBron. And I was like, why are you doing commercials with him? He's trying to butter you up.
Magic and Bird do the...
I didn't like it. Magic saw
Michael and who was it? Michael and Larry did the McDonald's?
Magic and Bird. Bird beat Magic in the finals. And they did the commercial after. And then the Lakers won the next year. Now, he buttered them up. I don't like it. I don't want you guys to get along. I want adversarial relationships.
They're there. I promise
it does seem like it. Well, now you have to be on the All-Star team with LeBron. You have to get along with him for 2 days.
That's a good point. Oh, man, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
In terms of the whole captain thing last year, we were captains of
that's right. Teams. We're not doing the conferences.
Well, we are. I guess each conference, the leading vote getter is the captain of that team, and then you pick from the rest of the group. So technically,
so it's you versus LeBron.
Right. One of us is going to be the captain, or somebody else, and then we have to pick the opposite person. So it's
I got to say, I like the All-Star game. I thought that worked. You guys were all into it.
I hated losing.
Yeah.
But that whole kind of just different look is the guys have been playing with with this set of guys on either conference for years. And they upped the money and the whole deal and a little incentive to win the game. It changed the whole dynamic for sure.
It was good. I could tell because the guys on the bench were standing.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
They were standing and I was on the baseline sideline trying to figure out how to get a shot off, and my whole bench was up. I'm like, wait, y'all aren't guarding me. Let's see, KD and LeBron are doing a double team. Try shooting a shot over KD and LeBron doing a double team. That's a little difficult.
I didn't like the last play you ran. I probably would have picked something different. Well, I don't know if you designed that one.
You're debating Popovich?
Yeah, I thought he mailed it in on the last play. It did. I didn't like it. You had wide open guys on that one.
Wait, it was not.
You were being triple teamed.
Sorry, it wasn't Popovich. It was D'Antoni. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was bad. Yeah.
Whoever it was. You didn't remember who the coach was. Is LeBron the best player you played against?
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
I mean, you come into the league, right, as his first MVP season or his second MVP season.
Second. 09, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And he's been in his prime for now 11 years, which is insane.
He
he just posts Instagram videos of himself working out, and it's like, oh, this makes sense. It's 6 in the morning, and you're on medicine.
I like those, man.
You do those too.
I like I make fun of those type of videos because I really like them.
You like them?
Yeah. Last year, I got in trouble for imitating Bron at a wedding last year.
I forgot.
I'm bringing that back up just because I literally enjoyed the entertainment. Draymond was making fun of Bron with his haircut last year and the whole deal. Bron was posting the workouts and all that type of stuff. It's great entertainment all the way around. And I'm pretty sure people make fun of stuff that I post too. But I was doing a wedding and I was doing, the song came on that he was dancing to in the video. And that's the only thing I could see in my head. So I did the dance. It was amazing.
I forgot about that.
It's amazing.
Well, Draymond and LeBron, they're like, Draymond's on Uninterrupted, which I don't like either. I don't think you should have any.
There's too many things you don't like.
No, I don't want you guys to like each other, especially now that he's on the Lakers. I want this to be a real bad blood feud.
It'll take a new life.
Because you lost the Clippers. That feud's over.
Yeah, the whole team's gone.
Yeah, the whole team's gone. You got nobody to feud with left.
We have 4 years of equity in LeBron in Cleveland, and now he's in our division now, and the divisions matter in the NBA anymore?
No.
They were created for what? Just for scheduling and for...
I did a thing about this in my book. Not only are they stupid, but there were years where they had San Antonio in the same division as Boston and crazy.
Oh, so
there's no rhyme or reason
on the history of it, but it's still anyway. There's obviously a warrior of SoCal and NorCal, or however you say it.
You guys have the division that makes the most sense.
Right, us, LA,
it's the California teams,
Clippers, Sacramento, and Phoenix.
Yeah, that division actually makes sense, and you guys are relatively near each other.
To talk to Adam
it's actually going to
that.
be really fun. I always call it the West Coast League Pass teams, and You guys actually have kind of sucked on League Pass because you're up by 30, 3/4 of the games in the third
That's
quarter.
not true, though. Because we usually are down at halftime, and then we go on those third quarter rallies.
Yeah, so I just have to watch the first 6 minutes of third quarter.
It's like midnight, and we go on this run, and then you're like, all right.
But Phoenix will be more fun this year.
Yeah,
Sacramento's like a fantasy team. I'm going to enjoy just what the hell's going on that. A whole bunch of different types of guys.
Clippers made some moves, obviously LA. So
the Lakers will be fun. You have some old teammates on the Lakers?
I do.
Just JaVale, or is there anybody else?
Yeah, JaVale. I mean, I know all the other guys, but I think the only one I play with is JaVale.
But Boston's on your radar. I can feel it.
Boston's going to be tough. They freaking made the Eastern Conference Finals without
You got to admit, the Celtics have always played you tough, no matter who's on the team.
They have. That is true. Literally, I could go back every year. We had a down to the wire game, whether it's their place or ours. 2 years ago when Isaiah was there and Avery Bradley, we won at their place, and then they came and beat us at our place.
Avery always did a nice job on you.
Avery's tough.
Yeah.
He's a bulldog.
Who's the top three for you?
Avery's there. Avery's probably in there.
Chris Paul, when he's allowed to use 45 fouls a game.
I'll agree
He's
with
tough.
That. I had a little trouble at the beginning with oh my goodness. He played at Memphis. Tony Allen, sorry.
TA.
I had a trouble because that playoff series, for some reason they wanted to put a bigger guy that had a little bit of length on me. I could get by him, but he was so crafty with using his hands and very high IQ defender. So it took me a minute to try to figure it out. But
it felt like the last 2 years, every time Kevin Love got switched on you, you had a flashback to the Game 7, 16, and you wanted to score on him.
Yes.
Is that fair?
That is very fair. I spent a whole year hearing about that one possession in the 2016 finals.
You've won 3 titles. Do you still feel about 2000? You think about 2016?
100%. When you're right there at the cusp of winning a championship and you lose, like that stings. Obviously, when you win, it's an amazing feeling, and that's I want to be on that podium every year. But you can always try to be greedy and look back like, damn, if I would have did this differently, maybe 1 or 2 possessions, we would have had another championship. They're hard thoughts to move on from, even though they inspire, the comeback pursuit, which has been the last 2 years.
It's a fascinating last 6 minutes to watch. It's actually not
of
very,
Game 7.
Game 7. It's actually not very well played. Everybody just misses shots, but LeBron he basically had 6 points against Azili, and then he has the one block, and then Kyrie makes the 1-3. But not a lot happens positive in those last 6 minutes. Everybody seems so tired, and it seems so tense. The crowd's just standing there.
It's a tense moment. Yeah.
That's the thing. I think it's really hard to explain unless you've been in an arena for one of those games, how tense those Game 7s can get and how you can just feel it.
You weren't in Houston this year, were you?
No, but I could tell from the TV. I knew that.
I mean, I could talk about that game all day. Like, obviously it's tough when CP goes out, but just the tension from the jump. Like knowing every possession, every pass, every dribble, like mattered for us to get to the finals. The pressure on us to get back there, the pressure for them to try to get over the hump, like very palpable throughout the whole entire arena. And when we finally started to figure out in the second half, it still wasn't a good feeling. Like we were accomplishing anything. It still was like this is like a hell of a fight. And until you actually heard the buzzer sound and you could take a breath of a sigh of relief. That's why I think we had such big smiles on our face, because that was probably one of the hardest series I think we've ever played in.
Yeah. I couldn't tell how much of it was you guys just seemed exhausted by the run and how much was how good and physical they were defensively. It seemed like a combo of those two things.
For sure.
They kind of caught you at the right point, but they also, the stuff they did defensively was the highest level we've seen anybody defend you guys.
I mean, Daryl Moore has been very outspoken about it. They try to design a team to beat us, and they had a certain game plan that they worked on all year. And they weren't shy about, proclaiming it. And when it got to that series, some stuff they did worked. Some stuff we did to counter it started to work a little bit better. But that's what an NBA playoff series should be like
yeah,
back and forth. where you really don't know who has momentum, who has control of the series at any given time. And it goes down to the last half of the Game 7. That series literally felt like 2 months.
Yeah.
Like that was the one I could look back throughout this playoff run and say that was a gauntlet.
It's weird. I never ever felt like you guys were actually going to get bounced watching it. I had this weird confidence. No, I'm not even saying that butter you up. Like I had this weird confidence. I was like, no, they'll figure it out. But at the same time, I was like, is this going to be one of those things where Houston's celebrating and I'm still going, no, the Warriors got this. But
that's how it felt like in 2016.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, this is another game, right? Like, this ain't it.
When Draymond punched LeBron in the balls, did you know in the moment he was going to get suspended?
No, we were actually made it to, I think, practice 2 days later before Game 5, not knowing what was going on. Not really thinking that it deserved to be switched to a flagrant or whatnot. And, it was a surprise when we got that word. We got it right at the end of our practice, so we had prepared as if Draymond was playing the whole practice, and then we got the word right after that he wasn't, and that kind of shook us a little bit.
Because that Game 4 was actually one of the best Warriors games.
Mm-hmm.
You ended that game. That was we are the champs.
A statement game.
Like, it was a statement game. It was like, wow, they're winning in 5, and that's it. It's another good NBA what if. You must have been excited when they traded Kyrie, though.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I
was like, oh, this is great. They traded Kyrie. Thank you, Cleveland.
Surprising, yeah. Well, literally, when you play a team or go through a final series like that, like we did in 2015, he only played Game 1, and 2016 and 17, there's a certain look that they present and a certain challenge with, LeBron and Kyrie able to take turns on possessions. Yeah. Kyrie can create his own shot. And it's almost like what are they like? I know they still have Bron and they have shooters around him and they know how they're going to score and how they're going to be effective. It's like that's such a different dynamic that they're missing.
Yeah,
and
I would have written that one out.
I've heard your take on that.
Yeah,
I've heard your take on that. So I mean,
I've said this a million times. I judge guys by the playoffs and the finals and who's out there. Like in that Game 7 in 2016, who would I want on the court for those 6 minutes?
Yeah.
And if somebody can step into that moment and make the biggest shot of the game, I want him on my team.
He's a killer, man.
Can we talk about Charlotte really quickly?
Yes.
Are we sure you're not ending your career there?
I love the Bay Area, man. I actually, the only reason I go home now is if my sister's getting married or to go play the Hornets for that one game. So I haven't really been back much, but I haven't really put my mind there.
So you like when you go back? It's like when I go back to Boston. It's great to be back. I love it. You get all these old memories, but you don't feel like a real I got to finish my career. Now you feel that with the Warriors.
For sure, I do. Yeah, this is home. This is where I want to be. For obvious reasons.
How do you feel about all the bandwagon Warriors fans that jumped on during the first title? Because you remember the old school Warriors fans.
It's a part of it. My favorite thing now is like if I'm on Twitter or Instagram and I see a picture of like Nate Thurman and it's like only real Golden State Warrior fans know who this guy is without having to Google it.
Yeah,
it's like those type of when they question the fans, I love that, but. Like when you see like when we had the parade and you see Oakland with 1 million people downtown wearing Warrior gear, celebrating our 3rd championship in 4 years. Like whoever wants to put that jersey on and support us, man, it's amazing. Like
that was the case when Laker bought the team. Everyone's like, "Oh, $400 million." It's like, yeah, they're one of the biggest markets in the U.S.
I know, they're sleeping on the Bay
Silicon
Area.
Valley's right there, and they have great fans.
Sleeping on it, man. It's gonna be interesting this year. I will say.
This is the last year in Oakland.
Haven't spent 10 years or going on my 10th year in Oakland. This being the last year there before we move to San Francisco. It's going to be a real sentimental year, especially for me being the elder statesman on the team. Having seen the dog days my first 3-4 years when we weren't a playoff team to, those pivotal playoff runs where we were starting to figure it out and seeing, the fan base pick up and us really looking at a championship to the last 3 years where we've got it done, or 3 out of the last 4 years. Like a lot has been experienced, won and lost in Oakland at Oracle, so it's gonna be a little different.
I like you have a couple things in your favor this year, because normally you'd be like, you've 4 straight finals, It's going to be rough. How are they going to get motivated? Last year of Oracle,
Mm-hmm.
Boogie coming in around All-Star break, maybe even sooner. And then LeBron and the Lakers. Those are three nice little keep you fresh kind of things. I think when a team's going to try to own a decade, which you guys have basically owned a big chunk of it, I would say you're the team of the decade now. Miami got 2.
Mm-hmm.
4 straight finals.
4 straight finals. I got 2.
Miami did 4 straight finals. So I don't know. Maybe this year decides it, but those little things help because the season's too long. What is your ideal length for the season? 70? 72?
I've heard the case for 70, and when I see it on paper, it looks good. I mean, there's no way we're gonna go less than 82. It's just the NBA is too popular. It's just fans want games, and that's what we're in the business for.
Do you think what effect would it have on your performance over the course of a regular season if it was 70 versus 82? With more spread out rest and stuff.
I don't know how to put it. I don't know how it would affect injuries. Like I think it would maybe have a positive effect just because there's a little less wear and tear, probably 8 less back-to-backs, whatever the case is. I don't know. I've never put myself in thinking like if I had 3 extra days to rest between a game in the middle of February, like that would actually be real rejuvenating. But my whole process. Do you get legitimately
tired during the season?
There are weeks like you can have a rough week where you come off a 4 and 5 day stretch, 4 game to 5 day stretch with a flight, and you come back and it's like, all right, I got 2 out of the next 3 at home with 1 more back to back at the end, and you're like, all right, you're looking at the schedule, and you're like, all right, how are we gonna get through this little stretch? And your body starts to feel it.
And if you have some team stuff too, that also the season.
Everybody has team stuff. Yeah, that's part of the beast anyway. Everybody has their process of how they deal with it, and I think for us, or for me particularly, like I got a certain routine that I try to stick with every single step of the way that helps you counteract that fatigue that might set in.
Why did David West say that thing after the finals about if people understood what happened during this? Like, it sounded very cryptic.
It was very cryptic. I think I might be still trying to figure it out too.
You're like, did I miss something? Was there a fight I missed?
Did I go to a team dinner or what happened? No, but I think just in general, there's, like you said, there's so many different dynamics at play when it comes to chasing the championship, and there's so much. You're with each other all the time.
Yeah.
Like low key, my wife hates when I say that. I am with the team more than I'm with my family during the season. Yeah, and that's a good thing and a bad thing in terms of emotions kind of get into it. It's hard to kind of picture the goal right in the middle of the season where you're trying to get to. All that type of stuff comes into play. So the great teams figure it out, and they keep the focus on winning games and playing basketball and caring for each other. And I think that's what we've figured out.
See, I feel like a team is like a marriage. If you're with a couple and you spend a week with them on vacation or something, and they never like mix it up at all, like, and it's just like too perfect, you're like, all right, this is getting weird. I want teammates to yell at each other on the court. That tells me that they like each other and they 100%. Can do that,
We had that moment, was that 2 years ago when KD first joined our team? We had that moment in Sacramento where him and Draymond got into it. Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, what's going on? The Warriors chemistry is broken. KD's messed stuff up. Draymond's not happy.
Coming up next.
Steph doesn't, the hot takes, the lead. Steph doesn't know how to lead the team, this and that.
Yeah.
Coach Kerr's popping off, throwing F-bombs, getting thrown out the game. Like, yeah, that's a part of the beast, man. Like, it's stressful what we do. And we keep the perspective, like we're playing basketball. But the stress on like actually winning games and doing what we need to do to prepare your mind, your body to go out and compete, and when teams are coming at your throat every single night, like it is hard, man.
Well, you also have a lot of people who I don't feel like ever actually played basketball, weighing in on what it's like for teammates that are playing basketball. Because I played basketball my whole life, including with some of the best friends I have in my life. We yell at each other on the court. It's not like 3 hours later, I'm like, man, I can't believe you yelled at me because I didn't set that pick. Like,
right.
Fuck you. Like, it just happens. You move on. That's the whole point of basketball.
That's it, man. You don't hold any grudges. You just, what you need. You check people when you need to, and we got a lot of guys that do that.
Yeah. From an all-time standpoint, I guess we'll wrap on this. Do you think about this stuff at all?
Like where I would like top ranking the all-time
I was
list.
messing around my pyramid.
Where am I, Bill? Where am I?
Want me to look?
Where am I?
I'll check it out.
Tell me something good, man. Tell me.
But like, all right, well, you talk. I'll look this up as we're doing this. But from a team standpoint, you're already in the conversation.
The best team ever?
No, not best team ever, but there's like that short list of like the 7-8 teams that mattered. I think you're probably on that list now. You're at least on the list with like the Kobe, Shaq, Lakers.
Okay.
Those kind of teams. But you go 4 and 5 with the fifth one being you lose in game 7 basically in the last minute. That's now becoming a different conversation. I feel like there are real historical stakes now.
Right.
And then I look at somebody like Durant.
You need to add that to your list of things that we need to focus on for this season.
Well, I don't know if players care about that stuff. I think it's like people like me care about that. But I don't think players just go to the next game.
No, I'm definitely intrigued by how people view us in terms of like actual basketball minds that know what they're talking about in terms of like the history of the game. Because everybody has a recency bias. Everybody, is a prisoner of the moment in terms of we're ruining the league because we've been in the finals 4 years in a row. We won 3 out of 4 and all this other type of nonsense. If you look back in the archives, like this has happened plenty of times before and it'll probably happen plenty of times again in their own unique kind of, circumstances. I appreciate like the general knowledge of like where this era is in comparison to what what's going on the court before.
I never thought about you that until we did that thing for the HBO show when we were walking off the court, and I was like, only a couple guys in my life would have taken that shot when they were 0 for 9, the 3-pointer, and not only did I feel like it was going in, but the person taking the shot did too. And you were like, who's on the list? Like you were immediately intrigued. So I was like, this guy's a basketball fan. And it really is like, that is not a long list. But I think, from a team standpoint, I think it matters to be able to say, I look at those Jordan Bulls things, like go talk to Scottie Pippen about it now. It's been 20 years later. He's still fired up about it probably.
I like the way that you put it though. I just said like best team ever, which I don't agree with. There is no such thing in terms of every era is different. And like there's a set of circumstances different. And like the whole greatest player of all time and things like that, which could be debatable or not, but there are that short list of people that change the league, that move the needle, that are conversation worthy, that have, a huge reason why I play the game right now, like all that type of stuff, and why I think I'll have a reason why certain, future generations will play. Figuring out, who those game changers are, and that type of conversation is important for sure.
Well, you're going to start breaking records soon that are not going to have any parallel to anything that's happened before. Some of the 3-point records.
It's funny. I agree.
You're just
going
to start annihilating them.
When I set the rookie 3-point record,
I
think it was like 162 or something like that. And like it's been broken 4 times since.
Seriously?
Like Damian Lillard broke it. Donovan Mitchell was up there this year. Somebody else I'm missing in between, but just the game is changing, obviously. So records that were untouchable in terms of certain shooting stats and all that type of stuff I hope to be in the 3-point conversation, be up there at the end.
I think you're going to be on the short list. I think there's 7 3-point shooters, maybe 8. You're on that list, obviously.
Who's the list, Bill?
Well, Reggie.
Yeah, Ray.
Klay. Ray.
Nash.
Maybe it's just those 4. And then after that, you go the specialist like your dad. You get the Nash, but he never was like a high volume 3-pointer.
No, he's just a high percentage and very efficient with it.
Don't sleep on Larry Legend in 86, 41%.
Good call.
Made like 92. Does it seem like a million back then? I found my pyramid list. All right. So here's the caveat. I approach the pyramid like your career, this could be it. I'm just measuring it. Like you might retire right now. So I'm just taking your 10.
Okay.
But also trying to project like, well, he's not going to retire. So let's go like 3-4. So I have you 24 right now.
A little scrawny kid from Charlotte.
So you're in level.
I got a lot of work to do, Bill.
Level 4, Havlicek, Nowitzki, Baylor, Irving, Pettit, Malone, Garnett, Barkley, Curry. But I have you ahead of poor Bob Cousy, who just turned 90.
I'll count that as a win for now.
I really value MVPs. I think like 2 MVPs and then the titles, like you're bringing stuff to the table. So 24, you're ahead of Chris Paul. You passed Isaiah, which was a big deal for me.
That's strong.
But Isaiah really only played like 12 years.
It's a different game.
A different era. Yeah, you heard he tore his Achilles.
He played one game on his ankle that I probably wouldn't have. I don't know if I could have played the way he played in that finals game.
Oh, yeah. Remember that? Yeah. It was one of the classics.
If I would have did that, I would have been out for 6 months.
And then you go to Kuzi, and Kuzi played like 13 years. You saw the sneakers they wore in 1958? He's wearing like
Curry
John Barbato's Converse. Any last things you want to plug? Nothing? New shoes?
I got the Curry 6 coming out in December. My golf game this summer.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
Was phenomenal for one day.
You shot, what'd you shoot, -1
I
the
shot
first
71. Day? No, it was a par 70 course. So I shot 70 on the first day. Sorry, 71 on the first day. I beat 50 pros on one day. And then my amateur experience kicked in on day 2 and I shot 86.
86?
It was the first time, so you remember I was 0 for 9 in game 3?
Yeah.
I had that moment on the course on that Friday where I literally had no idea where the ball was going.
You should have Bruce caddy for you.
He mind wizard. He would have got me right back.
Bruce would have brought you back into it.
But it's just being able to be out there with those pros is pretty crazy. Just try to hold my own and hype up the game of golf because I truly love it and trying to grow that as well. So pretty crazy.
What are the odds of you on the tour at some point in your
Zero.
life? Zero.
Just from a time perspective, that is such a huge commitment to really if it's going to take 2-3 years for me to get my game right. And then on top of that
so you'd have to retire from basketball and play golf every day for like 2 years
to even have a shot at being a serious professional.
But everybody says you're legitimately talented at golf.
I am, but for where I am and where what I need to be, which is play golf once a month during the season, a couple of times during the playoffs, and then all summer and play a couple of tournaments in the summer just to compete and have fun. So,
what other hand-eye things are you good at? It's gotta be everything, right? Are you good at darts?
I can
get a pool,
pool, darts,
bowling,
horseshoes, ping pong, yeah, all that.
Cornhole.
I'm actually not that great at cornhole. I don't know if it's about the sandbags. I don't know.
I don't think from a basketball player golf standpoint, you could be even a half inch taller than you are. I thought Jordan was too tall. When Jordan was Jordan's good at guys, he's 6'6". That's not happening. Go look at golfers.
Andre Iguodala is going to refute that entire premise.
Really?
Yes.
Is he better than you?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's 6'7".
Yeah.
6'6", 6'7".
Too tall.
Crazy swing arc. But
too many ways to go wrong on the swing.
Nah, the trajectory he's on with his game, and he's only been playing 6-7 years. Watch out for him.
Have you guys ever played for money?
Oh yeah, I beat him all the time. But
you just take his money.
I need to be around him so we can, encourage each other in the game for sure.
See, this is the NBA does that players award night or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake is they should just have a celebrity tournament with you guys, and there should be a golf champ every year, and it should be all the NBA players.
I agree. The game
that would be amazing.
It'll surprise you who would show up for that tournament.
More people show up for that than the ESPYs this year. Remember when you were this wide-eyed kid from Charlotte? You're like, hey, they invited me to the ESPYs. I'm going. Now you don't go to any of that stuff.
Man, if you knew the guy out there that's sitting out this room, all the stuff that I'm invited to. And
he goes for you.
And but stuff that I take seriously, but his time is so thin. The stuff that I've turned down surprises the hell out of me too. And that includes our former president that has invited me to play golf, but I cannot get to the East Coast in the next week to go play with him. It's crazy.
Oh, he wants you to come back.
So Barack, if you're listening, I appreciate the invite, but it's not that I don't want to be there. It's just I literally just can't.
And Trump, no. Trump's like, hey, I'm at Pebble Beach. I'd love to take you out for a round.
Quick,
hang up.
Hit the red button quick. Ignore.
All right. Good luck with the offseason. Congrats on the 3 kids.
Thank you very much.
Keep it up, man.
I appreciate that.
Thanks so much to Steph and his crew. Thanks to ZipRecruiter. Don't forget to check them out at ZipRecruiter.com/BS. ZipRecruiter.com/BS. I can't remember my own initials. Thanks to FanDuel, this NFL season, FanDuel has more ways to win than ever before, like the free weekly Pick'em contest or FanDuel's free NFL Survivor League. Pick one team every week of the season for a chance at the $250,000 prize. FanDuel even has a new tool called Guru, which helps you pick your lineup so you can feel more confident going into game day. New players, try FanDuel today and get a $20 bonus when you make your first deposit. Sign up, use promo code BS. Thanks to Gillette. Don't forget, Gillette offers a variety of shaving products for every guy, regardless of personal style, skin needs, or budget. Whether you want 3 blades or 5, the Gillette 3 and 5 razors have you covered. All under $10. High performance, low price. Get Gillette Performance delivered to your door. Find Gillette 5 at GilletteOnDemand.com. I'm already excited for Gillette 6. Subscribe today. Back Friday. I don't know. We're on a roll right now. I think I'm going to have another good podcast on Friday. It's been a good week. Talk to you soon.